And the only other question, and not that we need to necessarily get into it tonight, but I am, I have some of the Bitcoin pairings now.
Awesome.
And I don't really, I'm just so new. I don't really understand, like, when you look at the difference, like it'll be like the Soul Bitcoin. The price really like has me confused when I look at the price, because it's like I just don't understand like the price
Yeah, that's
pairings.
Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll pull up charts anyway, so we'll go ahead and look at a chart. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up Soul BTC. Look at that, pretty on point. I called refilling this zone. We saw a lot of price activity in here, and we said once we break out of this, we're going to determine probably if we're going up or down. You saw my two potentials, and we pretty clearly dropped out, retested, and looked like we could be going back. So yeah, what this is doing is comparing the price of Solana and the price of Bitcoin. So instead of, Solana to USD, which it would be 19-1, therefore $19, or Bitcoin to USD, which is, whatever the fuck, 26,190 to 1. This is 19 to 26,190, which equals 0.000725. I know this is confusing, but here's what's not. Price action still kind of does the same thing. You can still look at Thor, and I'm just going to stamp this in here. Let's just say this is a Thor call, right? You can still say, okay, here's my entry, here's my take profit, and place them, even though these numbers seem irrelative to you. And personally, a number like this that seems irrelative to me sometimes makes it easier for me to trade, because I'm looking at, I don't know what the fuck this is. I'm not looking at, $15 in profit, or man, I'm down $15 in this trade. Maybe I should do something different. I don't know what the fuck this number is, right? So in a way, it can make it easier to just trade your plan, plan your trade and then trade your plan. But basically what this means is when this is going up, this means Solana is doing better than Bitcoin. Your money would be better in Solana than in Bitcoin right now, right? Now, when it starts going down, it means that Bitcoin is kind of outperforming Solana. Does that make sense? So instead of having USD and selling it for more USD, right? Buy low, sell high. You're taking your Solana and turning your Solana into Bitcoin. Now, as Solana goes down in comparison to Bitcoin, your Bitcoin is actually not taking as big a loss as your Solana. So then when you reverse, now Solana is outperforming Bitcoin. So basically these paired contracts, Soul BTC, ETH BTC, You are accumulating more Soul or more Bitcoin. Accumulating more Soul, accumulating more Bitcoin. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's makes a lot more.
Yeah, because you'll notice a lot of times when Bitcoin runs, the altcoins fall. And then you'll notice, well, the altcoins are taken off because people take their profits from Bitcoin, put them into altcoins, then the altcoins have a little run, then they remove their profits from there, put them back into Bitcoin, you know. So that's why you can, and that's where when the automated contract for this comes out, shit, that's the fucking grail. In my opinion, not financial advice, this is where I'm putting my fucking money because I don't want to accumulate more shitcoin USDC. I want more Bitcoin and more Solana because I think 2, 5, 10 years from now, I am going to wish I had more Bitcoin and more Solana. So that's what I want to accumulate. I know this gets a little confusing because it is such a weird number and everything else, but as far as the Thor call goes, it's going to be the same. It's going to tell you where your entry point is, where your take profit 1, where your take profit 2, where your take profit 3 is. And if you use the risk management tool, it'll tell you where to set your stop loss at. So even though these numbers don't seem to make sense, just know if you're making an action down here, you're getting more Soul. If you're making an action here, you're getting more Bitcoin.
That's perfect. And just don't. Who cares about that number on the right?
Exactly. You just need to know. You just need to do what Thor tells you, and it kind of makes it easier when you can't really FOMO when you see what's the difference between 0.0007251 and 0.0007256. How much US dollar value is that? It's somewhere between the fuck if I know, and even if I had a calculator out, it'll take me a few. So I'm not going to react emotionally to that. You get what I'm saying? Like I can't have an emotion toward something that doesn't trigger an emotion, right? But this is the power of BTC contracts. Same with I should actually add it. The ETH BTC. So having this contract, same thing. Are you getting more Ethereum? Wow, look at that. That is a hell of a downtrend there. Wow.
That looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck with this for a second because now we are going to revisit this more often with ordinals. What do we see here? I know I've said this 10 billion times. If you're new, you'll get it. But look here, we got that W, and what we got, the higher low, right? We got the big pump, which usually the first one is a big one. You can see we got a couple higher highs, higher lows, right? Higher high here. Oh, we get the lower, we got a low there, and then when it tries to pump up, we don't get the high. We got basically a head and shoulder there, right? And then we start the downtrend. So that's pretty significant. And you see, we just keep respecting it. We left this gap fast. So to me, again, this isn't anything you need to understand. This is just me breaking down my charts and how I look at things. We blasted out of this zone pretty quick. I think we are going to need to refill it, retest it. Maybe even down here, but we bounced through here pretty good several times, but not here. Oh, look at that. I think we did retest it and bounce on it perfect. We did. Okay. We already refilled this zone perfectly, right? We can see that. It's become resistance, 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 resistance. Looks like we could be finding support in it. What this says to me is, man, what this says to me is you've been better off with your money in Bitcoin than Ethereum, right? I don't even know what the price of Ethereum is right now. Let me add it just so I can tell. ETH, US dollar, finance, short. 1594. This is where you want to be accumulating ETH. Because what this says to me is when we do break this downward wedge, right? When we do break it and we find the retest, that's when we're going to begin the higher highs and higher lows going in the opposite direction. So if you bought your ETH here, you know, and then accumulated more Bitcoin, and now you sell your Bitcoin to start accumulating more ETH, you get what I'm saying? That's how to take that's how to not miss out on holding ETH and holding Bitcoin, right? If you're holding US dollars and the market makes a big move, you can get left behind, right? Especially in a bull run. And then what do? You end up FOMOing in late, right? But if you're holding Ethereum because you think Ethereum's going back to $4,000, and you're holding Bitcoin because you think Bitcoin's going back to $65,000. If you're selling Ethereum or you're selling Bitcoin here and buying Ethereum, you're not missing out on being in the market. Like if you were to take your money out into USDC. Does this make sense? I know this is like a little different level, but does this make sense?
Yeah, I mean, you're just trying to ride the faster horse, right? You're always trying to get on the faster.
Exactly. Perfectly said. Is your money better off in Ethereum or is your money better off in Bitcoin? You're accumulating Ethereum to sell the Ethereum pump to get the Bitcoin before the Ethereum dump. Then you're selling Bitcoin that didn't dump as hard to buy more Ethereum in looks of it pumping up. Now, this is a daily chart, not just a 4-hour. But you can see what happened when we broke the last downtrend. You know, we had a nice pump, even if it was temporary, right? This, to me, especially because down here, look, when we entered the zone, because the only reason I drew that zone is because there was no retesting here. We just blasted the fuck out of it. When you blast the fuck out of it, to me, market makers need to revisit it. Market makers are willing to sell shit cheap and lose money right here, knowing that they're going to make their money here and then come back to here. Time and patience. So, you know, Warren Buffett, the market is just an exchange of money from the impatient to the patient. The impatient FOMOing in, the patient that know they're going to get it back here, right? Because what did we do? We moved up one level. We moved up 1, 2, 3, could consider this 3 levels here, but then we dropped 2 back to level 1, so we're still up, right? But yeah, that's how to look at Soul BTC, ETH BTC. Are you accumulating more Ethereum or are you accumulating more Bitcoin?